But I do want to shift over and talk about the MRI program at NSF. Major research instrumentation goes up to 4 million. Remember the similarities and differences between NIH and NSF. If you are normally an NIH submitter, you can absolutely fit into an NSF instrumentation request, as long as you're discussing the needs that are not entirely focused on solving human disease. And if you're submitting to NIH, you're already probably working in a basic area already to be submitting to NIH. So what I'm saying is don't steer away from NSF just because you think that they don't deal with health-related issues. It really takes the same preparatory work and time. What I just described, everything I just said, the strategy, the time, and everything is basically the same. This is what we call them solicitations at NSF. This is what they look like. There are 3 tracks. 100,000 to 1.4 million is track 1. Track 2 is 1.4 to 4 million. These, I assume, will be the 2 tracks most relevant to this group. Track 3 that's currently available is designed to support instruments that conserve helium, so a very specific track 3. I assume most will be working with track 1 and track 2. And so just like with NIH, the first place you go is to the call for the need, the solicitation. What I'm showing here, and you can go to the link that you'll be provided to read about the program, is the solicitation. And just like NIH, the solicitation gives you all the information you need, including the window, the deadline of submission, and a lot of information. Similar to NIH, it must be multi-user, and there must be a very strong institutional commitment. Same domestic, public, private institutes of higher education. In a major difference is that you can directly purchase from a vendor. As in NIH, you can purchase a commercially produced microscope. There's also for each of the tracks the ability to develop an instrument with new capabilities. So you have both the direct purchase capability and development R&D capability for the 2 tracks of interest. NSF normally requires 30% cost share, meaning addition from the institution, funds in addition to what NSF provides. But that has been a barrier to some institutions for many years, because it's a lot of support that an institution needs to come up with on top of the grant that comes in. But that cost share has been waived for 5 years. It is currently waived, and so therefore, what you're asking for from NSF does not require additional support from the institution. And like NIH, the great place to go to learn about what's supported is the awards list. Again, the MRI has at the bottom of the information page an awards list where you can go to the award itself, learn about the award, how much was funded, who's funding it, and then read the abstract that describes the elements of what was in the proposal. So the components of the proposal are a little bit different, not quite as long as not as many elements as NIH requires. Basically, there is a project summary that's separate. The project description has 5 elements and great amount of detail about what needs to be in the elements of each of these elements in the solicitation, including how many pages. So the maximum per element. The entire proposal can only be 15 pages, but there's a maximum that you can have for various elements of the project description. I'm including this from a proposal that is showing that it's really important to include images, data. So this proposal is meant to, the reviewer needs to understand, why is this user going to need this instrument? And that's what should be included in the activities that will be enabled. So this part B is very important. What are the users? What will be enabling the science to be done? And what is the evidence for that? And that's why images are very important. Okay, so you can read all of that again. When you go to the solicitation, I want to point out a few things that you will find. This is what you should be addressing. You should be aware that the institution is responsible for maintaining and operating the instrument. The institution for NSF needs to show significant support through having a multi-user facility, a director who manages, and therefore user fees are permissible, and that's not considered cost share, so that's okay. Another thing that's very important is a management plan, and this is an example. Their suggested length is up to 2 pages for how this instrument, I'm sorry, up to 5 pages for instrument development, but 2 pages if you're purchasing an instrument. How these will be managed in either of those 2 cases. So management plan is also involved. It was in the NIH request, but here it has a very specific set of instructions. I want to mention one other opportunity that I think is more relevant to what you're going to hear next from our next speaker. This is a very two large-scale opportunities called the Mid-Scale Research Infrastructure Program that supports very high priority national needs. So this is not for a single institution or even a small region. It's for whole communities. And it's up to 20 million. It is really setting up, it's in a topical area. And I think if there are groups in this webinar who are interested in setting up facilities, the MSRI Misery 1, we called it, MSRI 1, is an opportunity for you to look at. There's also another one called MSRI 2, which is up to 100 million. So I would urge you, if you are interested in kind of facility development, that you go to these 2 solicitations, read about them, and of course they're extremely competitive. They have a pre-proposal process, and I'm not going to go into any more details, but I want you to know that they're available. And for these, you can get multiple instruments. It's really about building. It's about building on a kind of ecosystems, and it's not just imaging. You'll see that it's for all kinds of scientific endeavors.